Let me tell you, this world has never changed, really. No matter how fancy the technology, no matter how novel the names, what drives it all at its core are still those same old, most primal things. One of them is greed. It's like gravity, you can't see it, but it's constantly pulling you down, dragging you towards the abyss of foolishness. You've all seen it, haven't you? When the market goes crazy, the scene is truly spectacular. Your neighbor, the barber, even your cat seems to be discussing how to get rich overnight with something. Everyone's eyes are red-eyed, shouting about a new era, a new paradigm, as if this time it really is different. I'm telling you, it's always the same. From the tulips of the Netherlands to these digital gadgets floating in the air, the script has never changed. The most insidious thing about greed is that it disguises itself as opportunity. It whispers in your ear, hey, look, everyone's making money. If you don't get in now, it'll be too late. This is the so-called fear of missing out, a highly contagious plague. Once you're infected, your brain is no longer your own. Your thinking ability is burned away, replaced by a beast-like instinct, chasing, pouncing, completely forgetting that there might be a huge trap ahead. What is wisdom? Wisdom is being able to sit quietly, as if nothing's wrong, when everyone else has lost their minds. This isn't about being significantly smarter than others, but rather about having better self-control. You need to understand a very simple principle. When the price of something skyrockets faster than a rocket in a short period, its underlying value has already been left far behind. You're not chasing value, but rather an ever-expanding bubble. And the fate of a bubble is to burst. In all my years, I've seen too many intelligent people whose IQ instantly drops to zero in the face of greed. They might be doctors, lawyers, or engineers, top figures in their respective fields. But once they enter the market, they become a herd of bulls, charging at the sight of a red flag. Why? Because they overestimated their own intelligence and underestimated the fragility of human nature. They thought they could find the last seat before the crazy music party ended. But usually, when the music stopped abruptly, they found themselves without even a place to stand. So, my first piece of advice is stay away from the noise. When all the media and experts are singing the praises of something, when your taxi driver is giving you investment advice, what you should do is not open your stock account, but close it and go fishing or read a good book. There is no wealth in the noise. There are only illusions and the final bill. And that bill is always paid by the greedy ones who join the party last. Remember, the secret to making big money is never chasing the hottest stocks. On the contrary, it's about finding those good businesses that everyone has forgotten, even scorned. This requires immense patience. The market is like a pendulum, forever swinging between extreme optimism and extreme pessimism. Most people chase this pendulum, buying high and selling low, busy as bees, but leaving their money at the gambling table. But you must be the one who remains steadfast. What you need to do is take advantage of the market's frenzy, not participate in it. When the pendulum swings to extreme optimism, that is, rampant greed, prices will be ridiculously high. At this time, Mr. Market will be happy to buy your valuable assets at an absurdly high price. You should sell to him with a smile. Conversely, when the pendulum swings to extreme pessimism and fear pervades, people will sell everything out of fear, good or bad. At this time, Mr. Market will sell you those precious assets at an equally absurdly low price. You should buy them without hesitation. This sounds simple, right? But it's harder than climbing to heaven because it's completely against human nature. Human nature is to conform, to follow the crowd, to feel safe. This herd effect is ingrained in our genes. In ancient times, following the crowd could help you avoid wild beasts. But in the investment market, Following the crowd will only lead you to fall off a cliff. Therefore, you must train yourself to enjoy that solitude. When your friends are bragging about how much money they've made and you've missed out on the surge because you stuck to your principles, you'll feel like a fool. That's the test. Can you tolerate feeling like a fool? Can you trust your own judgment instead of the clamor of the crowd? If you can, then congratulations, you're on the path to true wealth. I always say, I only want to know where I'm going to die, and then I'll never go there. The same principle applies to investing. You don't need to know how to make a lot of money. You only need to know what will make you lose all your money, and then resolutely avoid doing those things. Chasing frenzy is the fastest and most efficient way to lose money, bar none. Think about it. A perfectly good business, a steadily profitable company, its value might grow by 10% or 15% in a year. That's already quite remarkable. Net price, but its stock price could increase several times over in just a few months. What is this extra price? It's air, a bubble built up by people's greed and fantasies. When you buy this kind of thing, you're not investing, you're gambling. You're gambling that someone even more foolish will take this hot potato from you at an even higher price. This game will end sooner or later. In all my years with Warren Buffett, we've never tried to predict market trends or guess what the next hot topic will be. That's too exhausting and simply impossible. What we do is a very simple, even somewhat tedious task. Find a good company we understand, determine its approximate intrinsic value, and then buy it at a price far below that value. This is the most valuable lesson Benjamin Graham taught us: margin of safety. Therefore, you must establish your own value benchmark and defend it as if it were your life. This benchmark is your judgment of a company's intrinsic value. It shouldn't swing arbitrarily with market sentiment. The market rises, your benchmark shouldn't lengthen. When the market falls, your benchmark shouldn't shorten. Your benchmark should be based on facts, data, and rational analysis. This requires you to do your homework, to read, and to think. There are no shortcuts. If you're too lazy to do this homework and only want to buy stocks based on other people's advice, then I advise you to keep your money in the bank. That way, at least you can sleep soundly. I often see people who spend a lot of time studying stock charts, trying to find the secret to making money from those fluctuating lines. In my opinion, this is no different from fortune telling based on tea leaves. They don't care what the company does, whether its products are competitive or whether its management is honest and reliable. They only care whether the line will go up or down tomorrow. This isn't investment, this is speculation. True investment is putting yourself in the shoes of the company's partners. Would you buy shares in a grocery store you know absolutely nothing about? You wouldn't. So why would you buy stock in a company you don't even understand what it sells? Isn't that absurd? Before you hand over your money, you should at least be able to explain to a 5-year-old in a few simple sentences how the company makes money and why it's better than its competitors. If you can't do it, then don't touch it. I know that adhering to value standards can be tedious, while others are discussing those monster stocks that can jump 20% in a single day. You might be holding shares in a company that has been steadily producing candy or beverages for decades, its stock price barely changing in a year. At that moment, you'll feel doubtful, you'll feel lonely. But remember, accumulating wealth isn't a 100-meter sprint. It's a marathon. Those who run the fastest are often the first to exhaust themselves and drop out. Those who take steady steps one at a time are the ones who laugh last. One of people's biggest problems is that they're always thinking about fast. They want to get rich quickly, succeed quickly, get everything quickly. This impatient mentality is a catalyst for greed. It can lead you to make all sorts of foolish decisions. You might leverage and borrow money to invest in order to make quick money. This is like having a noose around your neck. A slight market fluctuation could wipe you out. Warren and I never use leverage. Berkshire Hathaway has survived to this day, largely because we have an extreme aversion to risk and an extreme aversion to borrowing money. Another deadly poison fueled by greed is envy. What do you think when you see your neighbor buy a new car because they bought some strange cryptocurrency? Don't you think, if someone as stupid as him can make money, why can't I? This kind of jealousy will drive you to imitate their behavior, completely disregarding the risks involved. I can tell you what drives this world crazy is less greed and more jealousy. To avoid doing foolish things out of jealousy, you must learn to rejoice in others' success and focus on walking your own path. So, what should you do when you see the market frenzy and everyone around you making a fortune through speculation? My advice is to think about it the other way around. Don't ask, how can I get involved and get a piece of the pie? Instead ask, what kind of tragedy will this frenzy ultimately end in? What fatal mistakes might those who seem so successful now make in the future?